Hello everyone, the story I'm going to share today is Magpie's Appeal for Justice. In the 11th year of Wanli during the Ming Dynasty, a man named Zhang Xing lived in Xuyi County. He supported himself by renting donkeys to others. One day, he caught two magpies in the forest and placed them in a birdcage. The next morning, he took the birds to the market to sell them. On the way to the market, he met a businessman who had rented a donkey from him. The businessman planned to go to Xinxi. When he saw the magpies in the birdcage, he felt sorry for them as they had lost their freedom. So the businessman took some silver from his bag, bought the birds, and sent them free. The businessman's bag caught Zhang Xing's attention. He suddenly had the evil thought to kill him and take his silver. Suddenly, Zhang Xing threw the rope he used to lead his donkey around the businessman's head. He put it tightly around his neck and killed him. Then he tied a large stone to the businessman's body and threw it into the river. Next, Zhang Xing put all the man's silver into his own bag and continued to the market. No one was around to see what happened. A judge, surnamed Qiao, presided at a court in Xuyi County. One day, while he was reviewing case documents, two magpies suddenly flew into the courtroom. The birds chirped loudly as they circled above him. Their calls sounded like a person crying and caused Judge Qiao to feel very sad. He tried to drive them away, but in vain. They continued flying around his head and chirping loudly. The two magpies flew to the drum and struck hard with their beaks 3 times. Judge Qiao was shocked and thought the birds must be trying to tell him something happened. He felt the gods were using the birds to tell him a crime happened. As soon as he thought this, he looked up at the birds. To his surprise, they nodded their heads. It seemed that they knew what he was thinking. He told the birds, "If you really have agreements, show me by flying around the beam 3 times." As soon as he said this, the magpies flew around the beam 3 times. Then Judge Qiao said, "I will send 2 police officers to follow you." When the officers came, the magpies flew ahead. They turned back 4 times to make sure that the police officer was still following them. The birds led the officers to the banks of the Xuyi River, about 30 miles away. Once there, they twittered very loudly and suddenly dove into the river and flew back out. They did this several times. The officers noticed that several bubbles rose to the surface at the spot they kept diving into. The police officers hurried back and reported what they saw to Judge Qiao. The judge went to the riverbank himself, and the 2 magpies accompanied him. As soon as he arrived, Judge Qiao asked a fisherman to search the area where the bubbles appeared. The fisherman soon found a male body and brought it to the riverbank. The dead man appeared to be about 30 years old and had not decomposed yet. A large rock was tied to the body, and rope was wrapped around his neck. Judge Qiao told the magpies, "Now, please take us to the murderer." The magpies flew ahead, and the police officer followed. When they arrived at the Pinkang village, they saw a shed behind a house, in which there were 2 donkeys. Twittering loudly, the 2 magpies flew towards the house. When Zhang Xing came out, the birds landed on his shoulders and twittered even more loudly. Zhang Xing was very angry and started to hit them, so the magpies flew to the roof. The police officer said, "You must come with us." Zhang Xing suddenly noticed that the rope tied around the officer's waist was the same one he used to strangle the businessman. He realized that the police knew he killed the businessman. During the trial, Zhang Xing admitted he killed the businessman in order to steal his silver. He was sentenced to death. The businessman's body was buried at the east end of the village. The two magpies were seen twittering and flying around his tomb for several days. Zhang Xing, who was fascinated by money, robbed money and killed people, thinking that no one saw it. Not to mention that there were gods looking after the world. Even birds could not tolerate such a cruel and evil life. At the same time, this is also the story showing animals' gratitude, something really worthy of our deep thought. Thank you very much for listening to the story. More touching stories will be ready for you if you just subscribe it. Thank you again.